unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you. This is strange because I am unable to see who's in the meeting. But thank you for having me, and I believe I may know some people who are in attendance, so it would be nice to see you again. I am the directing attorney of the Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito counties California Rural Legal Assistance and what we call the Rural Justice Unit. And that is to differentiate our unit that does the areas of work that I'm going to be talking about mostly from the agricultural program. We are a statewide law office. We have 19 offices throughout California. Our central office is in Oakland, and we offer free legal assistance in housing, education, labor and employment, public benefits. We have an LGBTQ consortium so we have expertise that we can draw on throughout the state with respect to those matters. In Monterey County, we also have a medical legal partnership. They also focus on environmental justice, and a number of our offices through the state focus on reentry, both for housing and employment. Our services are bilingual, Spanish, English. We have a very robust language justice program. We recently challenged the EDD, the Employment Development Department, with respect to their lack of language access, and and recently entered a settlement agreement with them, such that they will now be providing a lot more language access and translating a lot of their materials, because particularly a lot of the indigenous language speakers throughout California and a number of other languages were having a very difficult time speaking with EDD representatives with respect to their unemployment benefits. And of course, that's been extremely important over the last couple of years. So, so this is something that became a very critical matter. We do, the bulk of our local office cases are landlord tenant, and we review notices of termination. We can represent in eviction lawsuits. We do a lot of demand letters requesting repairs and basically assisting households to contact environmental health, ensuring that habitability standards are upheld. We can advise clients with respect to rent abatement. We also have a robust fair housing agent department and work on enforcing requests for reasonable accommodation. We also advise and assist when tenants are given rent increases. We can advise with respect to security deposits. And the eviction lawsuit is called an unlawful detainer. So if somebody is served with an unlawful detainer, they only have 5 business days to respond. So they're very fast lawsuits. And so time is of the essence in eviction cases. Non-payment of rent notices are only 3 days. 3 days to pay or quit, or the case can go to an eviction lawsuit. So these cases move very quickly, and as a result, we need to be very attentive to them. And obviously, they're also very stressful for the entire household, and very much impact students in school, as well as the households themselves. We do a lot of outreach. We have a lot of brochures. We use a lot of pro-per letters. We have self-help kits. We have an education manual right on our website, as well as tips for gender inclusive language right on our website. We do a lot of public benefits cases. We have a lot of unemployment cases right now. There's a huge backlog. There's many tens of thousands of people throughout the state still waiting for unemployment benefits, having appeal cases in various stages of appeal, also state disability. We work with people who have either terminations or overpayments in CalFresh issues, SSI, Medi-Cal, Medicare share of cost, TAMP, temporary aid for needy families, in-home support services, and public charge. And we can address public charge concerns. Some families are concerned about what they're eligible to receive with respect to public benefits because they are concerned as to how the receipt of benefits will might affect their immigration status. And many times they are not receiving benefits that they're entitled to on behalf of their children. The benefits received for their children may have nothing to do with their immigration status, with the parents' immigration status. Other programs throughout the agency, some of them are listed here. We write a lot of demand letters. We will file administrative complaints. We are a law office and we will litigate. We will go to court. We do a lot of efforts, community empowerment. So part of the reason why we have so many pro-per materials or materials, so parents and others can pursue cases on their own, is because it's very empowering for people to see that they were able to send a letter and that they were able to resolve their own problems, and they can learn how to proceed from that. We're also able to make public comments when there's been an invitation for public comments on as part of a rulemaking process or something. However, we are extremely limited with respect to what our main funder, Legal Services Corporation, considers lobbying. So we have to be very careful as to how we make those public comments with respect to any particular issue. Skip one. You can contact our office if you're not sure what we do. Please give a call. For example, you're not sure, what does employment and labor mean? Does it mean that we do sexual harassment in the, if somebody was sexually harassed in the working in the fields? Is that part of what we mean by labor? If they weren't given lunch or meal breaks, what if they weren't paid overtime? So each of the areas that we work on are very broad. So all of those fall under what we would consider labor. And while something, for example, would, if it was in the fields or the packing sheds, it would get referred to our agricultural worker program, for example, in the Salinas office. Whereas a restaurant worker or a landscaper would be referred to my program. But nobody needs to pay attention to that. Within the office, we'll make sure to get the client to the right program. We do screen for eligibility. We screen for income. We only assist people with very few exceptions who are under 200% of federal poverty level. we also, residents in Monterey County, or we refer to the local legal services. So now that I'm the directing attorney also of Santa Cruz and San Benito counties, it's very easy within this region to make sure that cases get referred correctly. We do have some limitations on our services based on immigration status, but everyone can consult with us. And particularly with respect to, for example, education cases, we consider the student to be our client. So we are not asking about the immigration status of the parents. We're only talking about the immigration status of the student. And we have a robust referral network. So if we're not able to assist then a family, then we have a number of agencies where we can refer to. And here is my direct contact information. So I don't know if there's an opportunity for questions or.
Yes, absolutely. If there's any questions now, we have a few minutes. And I'm not seeing any questions. There is a question in the sidebar about being confused about where she's speaking from and why she can't see her. And this is something that is related to public access for the Zooms. So we have a Zoom link that's published and shared with the SELPA so that we can upload it, because the SELPA does not want to publish or release the whole video. So that's why we're doing simultaneous Zooms for public access. And I'm not seeing any other questions. Kenyon or Patty, would you be able to make me a co-host so that I can see some of these questions and answers a little bit better? And I actually have a question before you go, Phyllis, and thank you for being here. Could you talk a little bit more about your pro-per letters and the children's benefits that may or may not be related to the immigration status of the parents and how that's been affected during COVID, especially for kids in school?
Sure. So pro-per letters, by that we mean letters that we provide to parents so that they can provide them themselves. So oftentimes, for example, sometimes it's a way to empower people. Other times, our clients don't want a landlord or even a school to know that they have been to a law office, that they consulted with an attorney. So we're able to provide them with a letter that that doesn't say that it's doesn't have our signature on it, or maybe has just been downloaded from the book that's on our website, because the family is worried that having something come from a law office will cause them more problems than it will resolve. Especially now with housing so tight, people are extremely afraid of asking their landlord for repairs or of raising issues with their landlords. And if the rent increases aren't absolutely impossible for them to pay, they're making they're going to incredible sacrifices to pay rent increases, even if we're telling them that amount of rent increase is currently not legal, because they are so aware of how difficult it is to find other housing, and unfortunately, while we may be able to hold back on a rent increase for the present time, if a landlord gives a notice stating that they're going to take the unit off the market, or that, you know, that they no longer, that they just have decided to sell, then there's little that we're able to do in those circumstances, even if we have been successful in advocating that the rent increase is excessive. So we need to really talk to the clients about the approach to the cases and how make sure that they're partners with us and how they want to resolve things. And by, you know, by benefits, for example, if there are citizen children, as those who work with the school district, for example, know sometimes families need to be informed that their children can, for example, receive free school lunches without any problem, and that the CalFresh assistance that was being given to the families during the pandemic, that wasn't going to implicate the parents and threaten the parents for having received public benefits in their, you know, in their name, because the benefits those benefits were in lieu of the school lunches.
That's great. Yeah, that's really important and helpful for families. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. So you're welcome to stay on, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good night.
Pleasure to speak with all of you.
Okay, now we have Heather from Monterey Peninsula Unified School District, who would like to talk about the Workability One program, which is a high school vocational grant.
Thank you so much. Kenyon, will you be sharing the presentation that I shared earlier today? Or would you like me to share my screen instead?